Howdy folks, Chris here with Zone Zero California, and I am at the intersection of Verdugo, Montrose, and Honolulu. And this is in the Montrose neighborhood of Los Angeles, up towards La Crescenta or La Cañada Flint Ridge. But of course we're traveling around to all these very high fire hazard severity zones to take you, the viewers, up close and personal to where these very high fire hazard severity zones are. Now, before we get into it, I want to mention we are giving away a free pedestrian gate. It's a color bond gate by Durabond. These are all steel, metal construction and design. They're made in Australia, and they're designed to withstand the intense heat of wildfires. So these are the kind of pedestrian gates that are going to get you Zone Zero compliant. And what does that mean? We're going to talk about it right now. So first of all, I'd like to show you the map here of where I am so you can get a sense of why we're over here. So as you can see here, hopefully the glare is not too bad. We're in this little town of Montrose here. Okay, so Montrose, Honolulu, and Verdugo right here. We're in this little intersection right here. And you can see this is the red, very high fire hazard severity zone. So what does that mean? Well, if I zoom out, it kind of shows you, except for this little sliver of white that kind of goes along, oh, we'll say, up Montrose Ave to the northwest there for maybe a mile or so. Everything up and around it is in the red. That means this is all very high fire hazard severity zone. So what does that mean for you? If you live in this area, you own a home in this area, you own property in this area, or a business, the Zone Zero regulations will apply to you. So what are those regulations? All right, so Zone Zero refers to the 0 to 5 feet around your home, your property, or your structure. And these new regulations will dictate that all of the building materials in that 0 to 5 feet need to be Class A non-combustible. So what does that look like in practice? For all these existing homes and businesses and structures, you're going to have to look at 6 different things: your landscaping, your fences and gates, your decking, your siding, and your roofing. Landscaping, fences, gates, decks, siding, and roofing. 6. Okay, and so if they are not Class A non-combustible material, you're going to need to replace them. So let's talk about that and walk through it. Let's start with landscaping, because that's been the most controversial so far through this regulatory process. If you have a tree within 5 feet of your home or structure, that may need to be removed. Now, we're waiting to get the final guidelines from the state, which we anticipate being very broad, because through this regulatory process, most of the complaints have been you can't take a one-size-fits-all approach to this. And that's been coming from folks down here in Los Angeles or in San Diego, right? Where not only are the houses built closer together, but they rely on these trees for natural shade to reduce heat and lower power consumption, lower electricity costs, lower the cost to cool their home. Some homes might not have central air, and so they're even more reliant upon these natural sources of shade. I've seen some studies that show that the natural shade from a tree can reduce the effective temperature by 50 degrees. And in places like Los Angeles or San Diego, other parts of San Diego where you have, other parts of Southern California where you have heat waves, that can be the difference between life or death. So it's not just a matter of quality of life. And so what else now? So Zone Zero is actually something they've identified over the last 10 to 15 years of science research when it comes to studying the impact these fires have and the destruction that they cause. And they found it's not necessarily from walls of flames or even the radiant heat, but it's from the embers that pick up and fly and land onto other properties, and they land on combustible material in other places. And you add to that the high winds, and all of a sudden you could have a new fire that gets out of control very fast. So Zone 1 used to refer to the 0 to 30 feet around the property or the structure, and the saying there was lean, clean, and green. So what does that mean? That means, as it implies, lean, not a lot of extra things built up, not a lot of extra material built up. That could be more in your clean, right? You're cleaning it regularly. You're not allowing leaves to gather and dry out and form a pile of combustible material. And then of course green meaning don't let your grass dry out, keep it watered. Now, imagine trying to do that over the last 10, 15 years of droughts and such in California. You can see how maybe that's a wider problem, okay? So let's go back to zone 0 and that 0 to 5 feet. So what does it look like now with landscaping? You may need to swap out your grass for gravel, okay? The types of plants you grow may need to change. Are you gonna have to cut down your trees? Maybe, we'll see. So we're just giving you a heads up now. Listen, we want people to be prepared and not scared. So the next thing we'll talk about is your fence and your gate. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we are giving away a gate, a free pedestrian gate. Now, to enter to win that gate, you will need to subscribe. And then you need to go to zone0california.com, fill out the form, and download your free Zone 0 PDF checklist, okay? And then every 500 subscribers, we're gonna do a drawing for a new gate. Now, the gate will be free. All we ask is you pay the labor cost, and we'll have a certified contractor, licensed contractor, someone on that approved list of vendors from Cal Fire, oh, I'm sorry, from the Fire Safe Council, do that for you. And we'll do it at a discount, but I'm just kind of coming out of pocket here. I'm really trying to spread the words, grow this channel, and so I figured doing a giveaway like this might help people and give us some incentive to subscribe. So we're gonna give away a free pedestrian gate every 500 subscribers. We'll do our first one at 500, do a next one at 1,000, and so on and so forth, okay? So, but back to the fences and gates. Now, I mentioned the color bond gate. That would be an all steel construction. Now, you don't need to get completely away from wood, but if you do have an old redwood or cedar gate, that is most likely need to be replaced. Now, you don't have to get away from wood completely. There are hardwoods approved by Cal Fire. For instance, Kayu Batu is a hardwood, very economical when compared to other exotic hardwoods in price, like your Ipe, your tiger wood. When compared to those, the Batu is very affordable, and also Bilal, very affordable. And of course, if you need help with financial assistance, there are grants available, and I've compiled a lot of these resources together in our school community. The link to that is in the description here. It's free to join, and again, it's one place you can go to like get news updates, explore links to grants and other resources, other government agencies who are involved in this whole Zone 0 thing, okay? And of course, I also started a Reddit community, and in the comments of this video, feel free to also share your stories there. I want people to share their stories because other people will be able to learn from your stories. Perhaps you yourself have experienced headaches dealing with insurance or other local and state agencies when it comes to this kind of stuff. So get it off your chest, put it in the comments, or join us on School or on Reddit. Okay, so besides the fences and the gates and the landscaping, next would be your decking. I mentioned hardwoods are approved, right? So if you have a redwood deck or railing around your patio, you will need to consider replacing that. And again, you can go with an all steel construction, you can use some approved hardwoods. Decking as well, you have Trex and TimberTech as some examples of composite materials, all right? Now, next is your siding. This is really going to pertain to homes built in certain periods that have a certain architectural style, where there's certain building materials used wood siding. So that's mainly, from what I've seen, craftsman style homes in older parts of Los Angeles. Those have wood siding, and I have seen many of those also redone to have stucco siding. So that may be something you consider. Now, I get it, you're going to lose that historical look, that architectural style. But if you live, or if your property is in a very high fire hazard severity zone, you may not have a choice. We'll find out as these regulations get finalized and published. Other mid-century style homes have a more vertical style wood siding. So those are the two styles I've seen prevalently. If that's you, you may need to consider replacing your siding. And that's a much more bigger undertaking than just a fence or a gate or your landscaping or even a deck. So of course we have links to grants for financial assistance with that in our school community, and the link to that is in the description. Finally, we have roofing. Most roofing is already flame resistant, non-combustible, fire resistant material. But again, if you go back to our earlier example of having dry leaves and pines accumulating on your roof, and the embers fly and land on that, and you haven't kept up with maintenance on that regularly, combined with those high winds in the next fire event, it may get too big and too out of control before you can address it. And it may end up, unfortunately, damaging your property regardless. So that's pretty much it. That's the spiel. Enough talking. Let's get in the truck. Let's drive around Montrose for a little bit. Let's point out some areas of concern among the houses here when it comes to these Zone 0 things. And of course, I do this not to admonish anyone or point any one individual or home out. This is to actually show you how many homes and people this is going to affect. All right, so once again, my name's Chris, ZoneZeroCalifornia.com. Let's hop in the truck and drive around Montrose. Hey everyone, it's Chris here, back in the truck. All right, so let's take a look at this map again and see for this Montrose area. Now, these particular blocks, sort of 2 hour west, northwest here, and somewhat to the south towards Glendale, obviously not affected. And you know, Montrose is probably not like the biggest community as far as, you know, geographic square miles here. So we'll just drive around these couple of blocks up here right off the street from where we're at, just to get a quick example. Now, usually when I do this, I'm able to find stuff right off the bat because most everyone's got an old wood fence or gate at this point. And sometimes we'll find examples of siding. This depends on the neighborhood, but let me just make sure it's safe to drive here. We'll just go up a block and then make a right turn into this neighborhood and see what kind of stuff we can find and point out when it comes to Zone 0 compliance. All right, so this is Waltonia Drive, if you're familiar with the neighborhood or if you live in this area. So again, this is like sort of northeast of, what is that street behind me? Montrose, of Montrose Ave. So, oh, already. So here's a, I'm not going to point out this apartment building because it's got the name of it, but it has wood siding. Okay, so across the street there's a wood fence going between the homes. And see, you see how as it went further back, it went right up next to that detached garage in the back, as well as, you know, the house next to it. So that would probably be a Zone 0 area of concern. Now, I just want to point out, here's a Craftsman. So you've got wood siding, and then you've got these palm trees, right? Are those going to need to be removed? We'll find out. Oh, wood gate right there between the house. And that goes all the way back. There's a wood gate back there, along with the old tree stump. Now that might be a wood fence over here for this home. I'm gonna turn down Hilldale Drive. The street signs say we're in Montrose, so I want to stay in Montrose, just to be consistent here. Oh, well, now it looks like we're in La Cañada Flint Ridge, but here, let me just show you. Here's a wood fence, as well as a Craftsman style home with wood siding. So, you know, technically, are we in La Cañada Flint Ridge? Maybe. I'll turn around and head back towards the Montrose area proper, because La Cañada got their own video. Montrose deserves its own video as well here. So I'm seeing some chain link and wrought iron on these homes. This might be wood siding here. So let me see if I can see any wood fences or gates. And of course, just think about the landscaping, all those trees. Right, okay, here you go, there's wood siding, and that might be wood fence. Yep, that's wood, that's not vinyl. Okay. This house is getting redone. Looks like smooth stucco. We got another smooth stucco home here. Oh, this is, look at this, old wood fence and gate right here. Old wood fence and gate right here. More old wood fence right here. Wood fence here. Oh, and even wood on the garage door there. So, there's a mail truck in front of me. Let me turn around. I'm gonna put the camera down. Head back towards Montrose here, but look, up here you've got this detached garage with a patio on top and railing. You see? So even though it had steel framing, oh, here you go. Another look at the wood fence here. Goes all the way down the driveway. All right, let me pay attention to the road here around the curve. But as you can see, it doesn't take much to find properties that have potential zone 0 concerns because of how many people this regulation affects. And that's really the greater point here, is that this is going to affect so many homes and people. And so we want people, again, be prepared, not scared. If you want to be put in touch with contractors, just go to zone0california.com, give us a call there, or fill out the form. And of course, if you want to enter to win the color bond gate, all steel gate, made and designed in Australia to withstand the wildfires, all you got to do is subscribe to this channel and then go to zone0california.com, fill out the form to download our free Zone 0 PDF checklist. All right, so let's drive around just a touch more. I'm gonna go back onto this street and up to the north here and see if this is still Montrose proper here. I'm driving the freeway, you can see here, you know, and I'm looking at these signs, the street signs. We might already be outside of Montrose proper and into La Crescenta. So that's it for me here. I'm gonna make the La Crescenta video next. But Montrose, thank you guys, and stay safe.